I think absolutely thrilled. I think it is much deserved recognition. But what do you do when what you require is not twice, but 100 times? Goa needs mining to be restarted. We must aim at having twice better quality of internet and power than places like Bangalore and Hyderabad and Mumbai. The second lockdown was done way better. Sustainable development is important across every walk of life, not just industry. Millennials want to make a difference. They don't want to do things just because they are to be done.
नमस्कार आणि येवकार तुमकां आयच्या खाशेल्या कार्यावळीत. आयज आसा आमच्या बरोबर अशें व्यक्तिमत्व जे लीड करता एक अशें इन्स्टिट्यूशन जाचें नांव फक्त गोंयांतच न्हय तर पुराय देशांत आसा आणि देशाच्या वेगवेगळ्या राज्यांतल्यान हांगासर भुरगे मॅनेजमेंटाचे धडे घेवपाक येता. आमच्या बरोबर आसा अजित परुळेकर, डायरेक्टर, गोवा इन्स्टिट्यूट ऑफ मॅनेजमेंट. सर, वेलकम टू द शो.
Thank you.
So before we start the conversation, I want to say something that फाटले एक वर्स जालें हांव डायरेक्टर साहेबाक सांगता की आमच्या बरोबर येया, आमच्या वांगडा डिस्कशन करा ऑन द पॅन्डेमीक दॅट वी आर एंड द इकॉनॉमी दॅट वी आर. बट एका वर्सा नंतर फायनली आयज मुहूर्त लागला आणि मुहूर्ताचें कारण म्हळ्यार गोवा इन्स्टिट्यूट ऑफ मॅनेजमेंट इज बीन रेटेड अमॉंग्स टॉप 4B schools globally in positive rating edition, that is 2021. Sir, first of all, congratulations for achieving this mammoth task, which gives you recognition across the globe.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So your the first response on being given this particular thing for you?
I think absolutely thrilled. I think it is much deserved recognition. PIM has been doing a lot of work in responsible management. So now this PIR rating is a good rating that it considers things that are extremely important for business. So I'm glad from two points of view. One is from a GIM point of view that we got rated top of the world. Second is the fact that there is a rating like PR rating that is looking at things that are important for what business schools and higher education institutions should be doing.
Okay, also in regards to जे माझ्या आता व्ह्युअर्सांक खबर ना is what is this positive impact rating and why did in principle GIM participate in this?
So your rankings and ratings have been there for institutions for a long time. Most of the rankings looked at which are best in the country, best in the world, best in so and so. This is the first rating that is looking at best for the world. So they're looking at the best business school for the world. What does that basically mean? See, business schools, like people who pass out from GIM, our students become leaders of industry. They become, vice presidents, CEOs of large companies, of various kinds of organizations and leaders of society. If they do what traditionally business schools used to do, which is focus only on profit, that's not great for society. If leaders of society think about that only, that's extremely important. Creating a wealth is extremely important. But it's also important that people who lead society and organizations should look at the realities of things like climate change, income disparities, people who are the lesser privileged, making sure that they don't lose out on the growth story. If you find it's a one-dimensional thing, I think a society is going to, it's not going to survive. So PIR is the first rating that looks at not only wealth creation and the parameters that you look for how business schools generally do, but they also look at what is it that business schools bring in terms of the culture, in terms of governance, in terms of responsibility, values, sustainable environment, and therefore look at an approach for business and business schools. Is more like the 3P approach rather than the single P profit approach. Multiple stakeholders, what they do for. And therefore, PIR is unique in that sense. The other part is PIR, the people who've done the rating are from the top institutions. So ASCSB is represented there, EFMD, these are the top 2 accreditation agencies in the world. The Global Business School Network is there. The Global Responsible Leadership Institute is there. So, PRME is part of that, which is a UN organization, Principle for Responsible Management Education. And the UNGC, which is the United Nations Global Compact, which is all the CSR activities of all the corporates worldwide. So leaders of these institutions are the people who are driving PR. So it has, all the big wigs who realize this is important. And
Okay.
therefore, for GIM, why did we participate? Right from the start, we believed in responsible management. So it was natural that we should have done this.
Also, understanding what is you mentioned that there were reputed agencies that have done this evaluation. What were the parameters basically on which an institute is evaluated basically?
Sure. So they had three broad parameters, which are broken into 7 smaller parameters. Three broad parameters is first, what energizes. So the energizing part of a business school. The second part is the education part of the business school. And third is the engagement part. So in the energizing, what we looked at is what is the governance of the business school? What is the educational culture of the business school? Right. So, GIM, for example, will score very highly there because we are not owned by a particular owner or investor. I'm Coop Goenkarasa, who are doing a lot of good work for Goa. There are 17 people who are on the society.
Part of it,
yeah. So that's the part on governance. Second, we are completely transparent on all our systems. We don't have any management quota of seats. We have complete meritocracy. And these not many institutions, especially not many private institutions have. So on the culture and governance are the first two parts which are part of energizing, which is the ethos of the organization. Under education, they are looking at what are the programs you run, what are the learning methods, and what are the student support you provide. So for us, when we say learning methods, a lot of people in Goa would know in organizations, whether you are in government, whether you are in the private sector or you're in NGOs. Every year, GIM works under a very powerful program called as the Give Goa Initiative. We work every year with 60 organizations in Goa on things like school education, on autism in children, on issues that are faced by farmers, on all kinds of different, temple trusts when they'll have issues of, let's say disposal of the flowers that they collect every year. Some municipalities have problem with garbage disposal. We work on all those kind of activities and students do this. See, students who come to business schools come from regular upper middle class families, may not be exposed to realities of society. This program allows to do that and it allows us to give back to Goa. So that's on learning methods. The programs we run, we don't run, standard programs alone. We have a cutting edge healthcare program, a data analytics program. We run a new age banking and insurance service. So what they're looking at is, are you teaching old models of business? Or are you looking at as technology is driving business? Have you brought technology into your programs, which we have in all three of these programs. The third is student support. We are proud that we have 26 student clubs and societies of all kinds on campus, including one on sustainability, one on finance. There is an investment fund that's run by students. There is India's largest business quiz is run by our students. So we have 26 societies, and therefore a lot of the education that we run is also by the students with the faculty as guides and facilitators. And the last part on the engaging part is institution as a role model and public engagement of the institution. Like I gave you the Give Goa example. Our public engagement is also, we have 3 separate centers. One is called a Center for Social Sensitivity and Action, Center for Excellence in Sustainable Development, and a Center for Public Policy and Governance. We work with a lot of organizations to bring in things like, sustainability, to bring in things like, community service, to bring in public systems, policy. So, for example, in Goa, many years back, the disaster management plan, the economic survey of Goa, so many different organizations we work with in the government, which help in making policy, looking at implementation, appraising the performance of government systems. So that's on public engagement. Institutions are the role model. If I take just one thing, sustainability. GIM has complete rainwater harvesting. We do every year audits on water usage, on energy usage, on waste generation. We have our own dry waste plant, our own wet waste plant. We have 2 sewage treatment plants on campus. We have just put a 675 kilowatt solar plant. All our lighting has converted to LED. All our water heating systems are solar. We measure the amount of wet waste and dry waste we generate every single day. We segregated 4-way. If you look at, I'll show you my room also, in every room, all our water is through glass water bottles. No single-use plastics. Now, all of these things that we do, we not only do about it, we talk to our students about it. We show them this. And we also disseminate. I myself do every year a couple of videos We put it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, on various media, because we think just doing this in our institute is one part. If you're a role model that others can copy,
Very true.
then it really, has a huge impact. So you see, all the parameters are very well thought out. On those 7 parameters, they've looked at business schools worldwide.
I think a lot of things that you do, and obviously it is not just to inculcate in the institute, but also inculcate in our day-to-day practice of living. Also, with this particular initiative, what is the feedback and or maybe the response that you have received from, obviously from the India as well as across the globe?
Yes. So firstly, let me say, for all of us at the institute, our phones have not stopped ringing in a way. WhatsApp. Every hour I check, there are 40, 50 new messages that are on WhatsApp, Twitter, and things like that. And I think there are different agencies. Our alumni are absolutely thrilled and ecstatic. They're listening for the good work that we've done. Now we have global recognition.
Yeah.
Our students are happy. People in Goa, so many people have said, not only is this congratulations to GIM, but it's congratulations to Goa.
True.
What we've done, we are proud of this institution. And that I'm happy to see that, Goenkars see this as arts, and, they're really proud. So many people in Goa, whether it is from CII, GCCI, the Chief Minister himself, a lot of ministers, irrespective of which party they belong from, that's one part. A lot of my fellow directors and deans of different business schools, they've got in touch with each other. Of course, we work very closely with the other 2 Indian institutes that got ranked well. So SP Jain and us, we talk to each other very often because we believe in the same agenda. So we congratulated each other there. And globally I got. So let's say the PRME head, Metamor Singh, sent us congratulations. Dan Leclerc, who's the head of GBS, and he sent personal congratulations. And kind of the entire community is moving for business schools to be more globally responsible. They've all personally got in touch with me and the faculty who lead these centers that do work related to responsibility. They personally congratulated us, saying it's much deserved. So GIM is a member of a lot of these institutions and done a lot of work there, whether it's the Aspen Network, the UN PRME, the GRLI, GBSN. So they know people like Professor Divya here, Professor Sri Rupa, Professor Arpita. These are people that are known by them. Therefore, they're very happy because they've seen us work with them for so many years. They're happy that they say, no, I think GIM is really well deserved. This is work that we did. So, like the principles for responsibility, responsible management education, GIM brought it to India. It's a global organization. In 2017, we had 2015, we had their first Asia conference in India. Their first office in India was established here.
Nice.
And now we have a large number of members, and it's really working well. So people associated with these movements have been very happy that for the contribution we've made, it's been recognized well.
I think nobody will object me saying that Goa Institute of Management is a brand that Goa has produced, and it is now renowned everywhere across India as well as now across the globe. Now, talking to the major part of it, we were hit by this pandemic, the virus, and entire world changed, the way we function, the way we look at the world. I want to understand is how did GIM evolve over this last 1 year, whether it is disseminating education, whether it is functioning, or maybe also creating this future leader. Obviously, it was a challenge that you had at your end.
Yeah. So one thing is it was transformative. I must admit that before the pandemic, we had done very little online. We had the capability, we had the infrastructure. Unlike a lot of let's say schools may not have had the infrastructure. But we've had a 1 Gbps, internet line here. All our faculty, all students, all staff have computers with good quality internet. All our classrooms are state of the art, and therefore that was not the problem. But inertia was there to change and get into the online mode. The pandemic just forced us to do that.
True.
On the non-education part, we had no challenges because we already had all systems. We were a cashless campus for a long time. So even though on 20th of March 2020, the lockdown was announced and it went on for more than a month, our salaries, all our payments, everything happened on time in March. We had no challenge whatsoever. In fact, we realize now that a lot of things we are unnecessarily doing, additionally. We already had the capability to do this. Online, of course, from having almost, out of my 80 faculty members, out of having 3 or 4 people who had dabbled with online education, now I have 80 out of 80 who are really well versed in doing this. So therefore, that's been really huge. The other thing we've done is build other capabilities. So every year we have interviews for selecting students in 15 parts of India, 15 centers, and it takes roughly something like, every faculty member, around 80 people, spend 8 days outside Goa, which means 640 man days are lost in interviewing people. We did all that this year online with absolutely no compromise in the quality of, this happening. For us financially, we have a very strong brand, and if as a strong brand, financially we're not affected much because, we decided that it's an opportunity to expand. So this year also, we recruited 16 new full-time faculty members, and we also recruited a new cadre of staff called professional staff. I think we've continued to grow from that point of view. Of course, the real unfortunate thing is, business school is not only about classes and curriculum. Business school is a social experience. When students come to campus, we have students who come, remember they come from all 28 states.
True.
So living on campus with students from 28 states, all religions represented, all of that is a great learning experience. True. It's unfortunate our students lost that out. The other thing is, summer internships, projects that they did in companies. A lot of companies open up to us to allow our students to come work in their offices. They'll give managerial time. All that was not possible because of, COVID. So I do think that there has been a compromise of student learning. It's unfortunate. We've done the best that we can in this time. But there is a price that the students did have to pay as a result of that. Faculty had to pay a bit of a price. Of course, because it saved some kind of time in that sense, our faculty got a lot more time in terms of doing research. So this has been an unusually productive research year. All our research publications are doing much better. We have, I think we earned 1.8 or 1.9 crores from sponsored research projects with reputed, international agencies. So 2 WHO projects. They're just starting a new project with the Harvard School for Public Health. We have a project with a German agency, and we have McGill University with whom we are doing 2 projects. With Leeds University in the UK, we've got a project. So a lot of prestigious projects we were able to do because because the lockdowns, academic schedules got delayed by around a month and a half. That gave faculty more time to concentrate on research and other things. So that I think was quite productive for us.
So it was a blessing in disguise for you guys to upgrade, and as you said, you had the technology, but there was no maybe an opportunity to use it. So I think the pandemic gave you an opportunity to access and better serve the community and obviously the students. This was the case of Goa Institute of Management. Now, the state that we live in, Goa, you know how the financials and how the things have panned out over the year when the pandemic hit us. Now, how do you see the state function, both in terms of the pandemic as well as economy, and also the welfare measures? When I say welfare measures, is obviously serving the community, one, and more importantly, and as we run up towards the election that is 2022, I would like to have your perspective on how the state or the constituents deal with all these 3 dilemmas that we have at our plate.
Sure. So first thing you must understand is that this is the most unprecedented event in a real long time. So there has been no country or state worldwide that has coped up with it, capably. So one of the majors that I have, and an area that I know quite a bit about, is about the healthcare delivery, accessibility, financing. That's one more area of expertise for me. And from that, I can tell you is, the capacity that was built in and the capacity that was required for things like, let's say, testing, for vaccination, for ventilators, for medicines. You can at best stretch your capacity to twice. I mean, the delivery can be up to twice the capacity that's built in. But what do you do when what you require is not twice, but 100 times? And therefore, to be able to expand, that's really a challenge. And therefore, whilst the United States, which has an economy, per capita incomes are way higher than anything comparable to India, they are also spending 17% of their GDP on healthcare. So they are not, they have a per capita income that is tens of times more than us. Plus they're spending, 8 times more than our government spends. So totally are spending, over 100 times that we spend. But that's the country with the highest number of cases, highest number of deaths, and it's still struggling to be able to manage. So that is one part of the healthcare. The unfortunate thing for us in Goa is the fact that we were first hit by mining. That was our biggest contributor to the economy.
True.
Followed by now, the first industry to be worst affected in COVID would be, everything related to hospitality.
True.
So every aspect of hospitality gets affected. And because they are right at the forefront and they're the most vulnerable group. And it's also something that as people see as elective, not as essential. So where will the money come from? So, unless and until we have large enough economic activity, and I just hope that the central government can see that Goa needs mining to be restarted. If you don't, whilst I agree, we'll have to take measures of environmental sustainability and all the other issues that were there, of all the mining leases and all those challenges. We have to overcome those challenges because if you find, the two major sources of income to the state, if they're going to continue to be affected, then I don't see any other way out. If we don't have the money, how are we going to be able to function?
Basically, you need to understand the situation that we are in, that is pandemic, and the way economic things tussle that we have in between us. So I think we need to revive this industry. One is the one that we closed around in 2012, and the other one that has been hit, that is hospitality. That is most required for Goa to survive and overcome all these challenges, right?
So if I may make one more point I want to make, is look, the state has to do something more in terms of infrastructure. When I say infrastructure, what I mean is, one is look at and hope that the government allows mining to restart. But for all the other industries that can possibly come, there are certain things that are not there. For example, telecom is going to drive business. When I say telecom, I mean internet bandwidth.
True.
The reliability of internet, the reliability of power, and the quality of internet and quality of power, quality of telecommunication. That is going to drive. And I must say that we are, being a small state that has a higher per capita income and has a lot of other advantages, that's a place where the government just has to find a way to deliver on that. If you're able to do that, then alternate investment can come to Goa. But if that doesn't happen, all these digital natives that we are talking about and startups coming in, that I think is a key point that the government needs to be able to put in place, where we have, we must aim at having twice better quality of internet and power than places like Bangalore and Hyderabad and Mumbai. If that's something that we can do, then I think the revival is going to be much faster. We'll attract a lot more investment. That's what I think.
Okay, also a very important question is, as businesses, both traditional and also the other business avenues that are there, have been hit majorly. Now, how do you see, as we have an apprehension that there might be a third wave that is coming in the October? Also, there with vaccination, that is a target of around December, that we might come out of this entire pandemic situation. How do you see basically the businesses evolve as we run up ahead, looking at the future?
Yeah, so that's a really difficult challenge. What I would just say is, I think the government must make it a little bit easier by taking people into confidence, especially industry associations and all the kinds of different experts who are already existing. Take them in the decision making whenever you're taking decision making of lockdowns and restrictions and things like that. There is no possible way that we're going to come out of this, well and hearty and good, unless until we have economic growth. I mean, undoubtedly, we have to have all the safety in place. But we have to have that economic growth also happening simultaneously. And therefore, selectively, we'll have to choose, what are the places that you're going to allow to function no matter what? And what are the higher risk things which you have to do a protection mechanism? I'm just thinking, if you run a cinema, you run a spa, you run any of these kind of things, you're going to be hit. If there's a third wave, undoubtedly, those are the places that need to lock down before manufacturing needs to lock down. Therefore, the government has to find some kind of a protection mechanism to be able to bail these people out. It's unfair that they should alone take the hit. That's what I would think the government needs to do. Be conscious of this and see the industry that are going to be affected. How can you kind of, support and help them? And the industries that can function without much of a risk of contributing to the third wave. Those should be clearly, now it's, it's going to be 1.5 years before the third wave hits. We've already completed well more than a year since, the pandemic started. by now we should be able to see what works, what doesn't work, and have a much more nuanced kind of a policy.
Do you think this was the second lockdown that the states imposed across time zones, across the areas specific? Was it more evaluated than the first lockdown that we had in the first in the last year 2020?
No, I didn't understand what you meant.
The second lockdown that the states had, the recent one that all the states, most of the states are, Delhi has opened, Mumbai has opened up, Goa is still postponed the curfew that they say. Was it more evaluated by the state, considering the manufacturing, considering the industries, considering the constitute, the people basically? Was it a better evaluated decision than the first lockdown that we had, that we completely locked the entire country, pan India?
Yeah, absolutely. You're bang, and I completely agree with what you're asking for. Yes, of course. I think it was better evaluated. It was much better done. But you must also understand that the information that was available was significantly higher. The last time around, we didn't have that kind of information. So if you also know, initially what every country in the world did was procure ventilators and put people on ventilators, and that didn't work. Today they realize that the way to get people cured from COVID. Today COVID, if you diagnose it early, the survival rate is 100%. The problem is if you diagnose it late. Therefore, because they're able to see this, they know how the disease spreads better. They know what is the impact on what is herd immunity, what's likely to happen, mutant variables coming in. Therefore, I think the second lockdown was done way better. For example, groceries.
Yeah, essential.
A lot of people came to the point of starvation because things were not available. That was done really well across the country, I think. That they managed that well. So holding, so many challenges with their first time. I definitely think that they evaluated much better than the first time.
Okay, coming back to your institute, that is, you've said that sustainability is the key when it comes to operations of GIM that you have, whether it was water harvesting or whether it is solar initiatives that you have. I also want to understand is how important is sustainable development across industries.
Yeah, so see, sustainable development is important across every walk of life, not just industry. It goes to every individual, the way you segregate your waste, the way you try to reduce unnecessary use of non-biodegradable substances. There are small things which don't affect quality of life at all. It keeps the quality of life as it is, and yet you can have a sustainable lifestyle. I'm not saying that don't fly and don't travel. As a director, I have to do all those kind of things also.
Correct.
But you can still lead us. So similarly for industry, there are ways where you have good business models that allow you to have your profit targets in place. At the same time, to be able to take care of the non-profit targets. Like what do you do for the different sustainable development goals? So what do you do in terms of having people earning fair wages? What do you do in terms of having the environment taken care of? What do you do in terms of having community development in around the place that you are? Just small things. If you are in Verna, at least unskilled jobs you should give to people in and around Verna. That's a very common, simple thing to be able to do. All these are sustainability. They're sustainable communities. Sustainability for the environment. So I don't think any organization or any individual should not be thinking about sustainable practices. Everybody should.
Okay. Also, again, I want to ask you, rather end this interview on this one particular question that will connect to all the Goans is, how does GIM intend to incorporate responsible management practices in the future leaders? I think many will be inspired after listening to your answer.
Yes. So first thing is, practice what you preach. So everything that we ask students to do, we do it ourselves. And I can say, it goes right to the director of the institute, does it himself. So if you come to my house, you will see all the taps in my house are aerated taps because it reduces water consumption. On campus, therefore, we do all these different activities and students are involved. So we don't do these activities ourselves. So we have our students, for example, they themselves on their notice board, every day, they have a system where they put in the amount of food that was cooked, the amount of food that was wasted, and they run campaigns every now and then for, waste segregation, so many things. Because we run the Give Goa program, each of these students, they spend every Thursday, which means totally 21 days every year, the entire day, working for an organization like could be CRY, could be Sangat, could be Setu, could be some school here, could be, the zonal agricultural office, could be NABARD, and they work with those communities that are being served. Now, when they see that, first case, they are able to see what are the problems. They're able to see people who are different from them, people who are similar to them also. They're able to see what are the challenges that society faces, that village panchayats face, that the municipality faces, that teachers in schools face. And those are things that they try to look at, can we contribute something from what we've learned? And they don't go there only to give gyan like consultants. They work with their hands and legs. And I think that is so. Of course, when they do it, it's not easy because when you're going in the hot sun and running around, and sure they curse us, saying, "My God, you're making us do all this. I didn't sign up for this." But a couple of years later, when you ask them, they fondly remember this. And I hope at least a sizable part of these students, for the rest of their lives, it will stay with them. Let me add one important point. We have various WhatsApp groups. One WhatsApp group that I'm very proud of from GIM is we have a GIM social impact WhatsApp group of all alumni.
Okay.
And when for example, when COVID struck, we had so many different alumni of GIM across the country and across the world, organizing for oxygenators, organizing for food supplies, organizing for so many different things. They were COVID warriors. And before COVID also, we have people who are doing work in so many different things, whether it is animal rights, and all of these are things, some of them are doing as full-time careers, many of them are balancing with very, very challenging corporate lives. And I think because of the kind of education we provide here at GIM, because they're sensitized to this, they become more do-gooders whilst being captains of industry. And I think that's important. What you need to do with this millennial generation, the good part is millennials want to make a difference. They don't want to do things just because they are to be done. They want to say, how do they make a difference? So if you sensitize them to these issues, those are challenges that they're just, they're born to kind of want to take up these kind of challenges. So I think all that we need to do is orient them, expose them. The rest, I think they are better teachers. They are going to live on this planet much longer than we are going to be. And therefore, I'm glad that we do this kind of stuff. So when we do this, I think, the disproportionately high number of GIM alumni we had who do this social impact part is partly because we've sensitized them here on campus.
I think you've said that the students will live a little more than the teachers, but I think the education that you are giving at Goa Institute of Management, I think will travel for ages and ages to come. I think thank you very much, Ajit ji, for joining us on this very short notice, sharing your views. Also on first, again, congratulations on being rated amongst top 4B schools globally on PIR, that is edition 2021. Also, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on the most important thing, that is the pandemic, economy, and maybe the welfare and the elections to come. One important thing is you're not just creating leaders, but I think warriors, and that has proved over this last year, both from the fact that the team that you have right now, and also the all the alumni that are part of this prestigious journey, which is more than 2 decades old now. Thank you very much for joining, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.